Shalom, everybody. Rabbi Edelstein here again from a slightly different angle because we're doing some renovations in our studio, i.e. my basement. But it's Rabbi E in 3, brought to you as always by MEOR DC. Check out our website, MEORDC.com, or find us on Facebook. So this week's Torah portion, Eikev, in the book of Deuteronomy, Devarim, continues the pattern of the previous portions at the beginning of Deuteronomy. Very inspiring, uplifting verses, some of the most fundamental ethical and moral ideals of the Holy Torah, God telling us to love Him. Last week was the Shema. There's a very interesting, and also still Moshe finishing up the recounting of the experience they've had together in the last 40 years since leaving Mitzrayim, since leaving Egypt. And on that note, there's a very interesting verse in this week's Torah portion that has a lot to teach us about the essence of our lives in this world. Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, says to the Jewish people, "You shall remember all the path, all the derech, the whole path on which Hashem your God has led you these 40 years to afflict you, to test you, to know what is in your heart, whether you would observe His commandments or not. Remember all the way that God has led you in the desert, afflicting you to test you, to know what is in your heart." Everything in our life really is meant to be a test. Now, the word for test in Hebrew, linasot, that the Torah uses, means both to test and to elevate. So you can just as correctly translate the verse, and it's also part of the meaning, you shall remember the way on which God has led you, afflicting you in order to elevate you, to know what is in your heart. Because the purpose of any test, okay, we're having some trouble here. The purpose of any test is to elevate us, to bring forth the hidden powers and abilities within us out into the surface. So God sends us in our life big tests, small tests, i.e. opportunities to elevate ourselves. And Moshe Rabbeinu is telling the Jewish people, and we're supposed to learn that periodically we should look back on the way God has led us in our lives. And maybe if in the moment when, let's just say, things are difficult, we don't realize a purpose, when we look back, we can hopefully appreciate that these bumps in the road were opportunities to elevate ourselves. The truth is, a lot of the Jewish people's time in the desert was smooth. They were taken care of. They were provided for with manna and with clouds of glory. It wasn't all tribulation by any means, but the idea of reviewing our lives and seeing that everything God sends us is to test us, i.e. elevate us. It's the same thing. Every test is an elevation. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and we can pass every test God sends us. Be well.